If you are interested in learning about acceptance commitment therapy or ACT as a behavior analyst or as an ABA student, but you're not really sure where to begin, I got you. Hi, my name is Dr. Pilar Bonilla. I'm a BCBAD, and I just presented on my research on acceptance commitment therapy embedded into functional communication training at the WEBA conference, the Women in Behavior Analysis Conference. And a common question that I often get after I present on ACT is, well, how do I get started in ACT? So I've got a couple tips for you. Tip number one is to master it with yourself first. It's so important to work on ACT with yourself before implementing this with others. Master as much of this as you can for yourself, because then you get the experience of how challenging it is, and you get a much better sense of exactly what you're asking your clients to do. The rule of thumb that I live by is I will never ask my team or my clients to do something that I can't or won't do myself. So when you're targeting something like psychological flexibility, make sure that you are able to do everything that you're asking others to do. Tip number two is to learn about the roots. A few years ago, I was having a conversation with one of my mentors, and he's an ACT expert as well. And we were talking about the differences in how ACT is implemented when someone is very well versed in the core roots and the foundations of ACT versus when someone is simply just familiar with the 6 core domains. And it's something that I've seen time and time again in my professional experience. Having a really well-rounded understanding of relational frame theory and functional contextualism and the ACT theory of change and the ACT therapeutic posture and, understanding all of these pieces really makes such a difference in the quality of not only the implementation, but quality of outcomes as well. My last recommendation is to use your resources. So much has been published now on ACT, and there's lots of resources for beginners. I'll leave a little picture here of some book recommendations that I often provide for those just getting started. I also have a little stack of books that I recommend for those that are expanding ACT into their area of interest, whether that be with adolescents or in OBM or expanding into romantic relationships or addressing trauma. I also had a beginner CEU on just the basics of ACT that was up on Behavior Live for a while, so you can check that out if it's still up there. And if it's older and not up there anymore, don't worry about it. I can make another training on the Unicorn program if people are more interested in kind of a CEU style training. And if you have any questions for me about how to get started in ACT or ACT with yourself or ACT with clients or ACT resources, let me know in the comments.